Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode. We got Merlin here today, which is he's a subscriber here on the channel, and we're gonna be talking a little bit about hair loss, hair systems. How's it going today, man?
We're all good here. All good here from the UK. Thank you.
Nice. Over by Oxford, right?
Yep, that's right. Just outside Oxford, Cotswolds. For those international travellers out there, they'll know what the Cotswolds are in the
A,
UK, I'm sure.
a gentleman and a scholar. Well, I'm glad to have you on and talk about things from a little bit different perspective. Why don't you walk us through a little bit, what your journey is with, I guess it starts with hair loss, right? And if you want to go into hair systems or whatever you might want to.
Yeah, I started losing my hair in my early 20s, and when I had hair, I had a lot of hair. I mean, it was thick, it was dark, it was curly, it was wavy,
Well, thank God you're still handsome
and
now.
well, I don't know about that. That's why I've taken my glasses off, so I definitely look better now without them, without them on. Um, so, yeah, when I lost the hair, obviously it was a huge loss, and you accept it for a while, but then after a while you think, I don't have to accept this. I was 22, 23, and I used to sit in my office at work, and I used to have a light right above my head, and I could see the reflection of myself in the window. And over the years, it just drives me mad because it's happening. It's like being on a roller coaster. You're at the top. You know it's happening, but you can't do anything about it, and you just got to go with it. There comes a point in everybody's life, I think, like mine, when you have to do something about it. So when I was in my early 30s, in 1998, I decided to get a hair system. Now, back then, they weren't the same as they are now. They were very heavy. They felt like Velcro, that stuck to your head.
What
They used
material
to
were they
itch
made
like,
out of?
it was real hair,
Hmm.
apparently, real human hair. But the net, I would say, it was like a black netting.
Hmm.
And obviously, when they shave your head, when they fit the system, you could feel it really, really heavy on your head. And it used to obviously make you sweat because this was around about May here, so the weather was good. It used to just drive me mad. And apart from the discomfort of it, then I was also very conscious of it because it was excellent. It looked great, but it made me look like 10 years younger. And you kind of you get to a point, in your 30s when you think maybe if I look like I'm 20, it's a little bit too extreme. But apart from that, it was the paranoia of thinking everybody knew I had this big mullet on my head,
Is
and
that what it
that's what
was?
it
Was it
felt
a
like.
mullet?
It felt like a dead animal on my head.
Okay. Okay.
And,
Well, let
um,
me ask it right there before you keep on going. What is it that you were very self-conscious about? Can you identify it a little bit more than?
with the hairpiece then,
Yeah.
um, because I knew it wasn't me. I knew it wasn't natural, even though the friends that my close friends that had it looked absolutely incredible, and I looked incredible. But it was what was going on in my head. It was the unnatural thing of having this beautiful, dark, wavy hair all of a sudden after 10 or 12 years of not having any hair.
Mm.
So it was all in here. And that's all part of the psychological thing of going through. I think you touched on it in one of your very important videos a couple of weeks ago, that the emotional transition of it is something you can't take lightly. And unless somebody tells you that that is how you're going to feel, it's a terrible shock. And it's something that's quite difficult to deal with. I think you yourself had a problem with your first system, didn't you? And
Yeah. So I've had two so far, and I'm waiting to get another amidst all of the global pandemic stuff. And I think
yeah,
that, yeah. So I mean, one one of the things that I talked about a little bit, but wasn't so vocal on the channel, was that um, there was this feeling of this is not really me, although it's really funny because it was kind of who I wanted to be. And it almost felt like this every single time I, had some of the bond breakdown, like on the front hairline, or I had to get a maintenance or whatever it was, the illusion, so to speak, would dissolve, and
Yeah.
I would be reminded. It's this weird, like, it felt like the highs and lows of almost drug addiction in a weird way. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. And I don't know if you felt the same, but it was something as simple as having to prepare your hair in the morning, having to treat it, to look after it, to comb it, to brush it, to style it. That was something then as well that I hadn't had to do for such a long time.
Mm.
And I'll tell you a funny story. We've always had motorhomes, like, camper vans. So we've always travelled around a lot around the UK and Europe. And when I had the hair system, we were on this campsite down near Bath somewhere in the UK, and I came out of the showers in the morning. I had this big thick orange towel on my hair, as you do, and I didn't check the system before I left the toilet block. And I was walking back across towards the van, and I noticed that people were definitely looking. It wasn't my imagination. People were looking. And when I got back inside the motorhome and I checked the mirror, there was a line of orange fluff all stuck underneath here. And that was just like such humiliation. And I thought, as you said, Jake, yourself, that it's constant reminders that it's not real,
Yeah.
and all these things happen. But, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not important. And I think the hair systems now, particularly the one that I'm going for next, they're not as fragile as
Mm.
they used to be in terms of adhesive. So, I think that's important to say that they have come a long way.
So you're saying that now they're actually less difficult to manage?
I think so, yeah. So Mike Ford, he records himself on holidays in Spain or Greece or wherever he goes, of him putting the hair system through a real rigorous test, of being in the sauna. Then he'll go in a cold shower. Then he goes into a steam room, and at the end of it, it's still absolutely fine. And I think in the video he shows at the end of a 2-week holiday, he's got a slightly dirty hairline, and he shows you how to clean it. So that has inspired me. That's put a lot of confidence back into the thought of having a hair system again. He's actually very good at
Yeah.
showing that. That's why I think that they are different, and he's very good at showing you the thickness of the lace base. You can see his fingers through it. You can see his scalp through it. It's really good, which you couldn't before. The one I had was black. It was
Oh,
really,
wow.
really dark in color. Yeah, and heavy. I
I
used to
guess
push a
unless you
knitting.
have black skin, that's probably, or not, or black hair is probably not a great thing, huh?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the front lace, it never looked right. It never looked completely right.
Mm. That's really interesting. So now you're about to get another system. Is that true?
Yeah. Looking at all the videos, and looking at myself now, I think, well, I'm 54, and I thought, well, why shouldn't I have have a hair system? Why shouldn't I look better than I do? In my mind, I'm sure people might say, it's not necessary, but I feel it's necessary. I had a hair transplant, a follicular hair transplant done about 9 years ago, and if anybody can see, there's just such little there. And so my point of pointing that out is that I've been trying to improve things
Yeah.
over the years, and I think the system now for me is going to be the best way to go.
Sure. Now, did the you had a FUT surgery, correct? Like the strip?
I did. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, out of curiosity, were you taking Propecia and Rogaine, and you
I
still were experiencing hair loss with that?
Yeah, I tried straight after the surgery. I had a mixture of Finasteride and minoxidil,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the side effects of that was that it increased male breast tissue,
Mm.
um, and that was an area I didn't need improving on at all. So after a couple of weeks, there was a noticeable improvement that I didn't really want there, and I thought, no, I can't afford to have that.
Now,
So
after a couple weeks.
weeks, yeah, I would say probably about 4 or 5 weeks, so a month or so,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wow.
it was fair. But again, that's not to put people off. Not everybody will have the same balance of hormones that obviously I had. And there was a guy that commented on one of your videos earlier this week, and he said that unless people have their hormone levels tested, it's not fair to generalize and say this drug is going to do that, because it might not do that. But
Yeah.
for me, it did. It increased breast tissue, and I just wasn't prepared to do that.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's good to know. One thing I actually haven't talked about on the channel just yet, but so I was on Finasteride for about 5 weeks, and the reason I wanted to, which I don't think I made abundantly clear, was that I wanted to see what the side effects would be if I did have a hair transplant surgery, like, because I would walk into it knowing that I'm probably going to have to get on minoxidil and or finasteride. So I'm like, hey, if I'm going to do this and spend all this money, I want to make sure I can take the drugs right away. And what I have discovered just recently is that the beginning of sexual side effects. And I want to be honest and transparent about that with people, because not that I'm not going to discourage or encourage people from it, but to try something yourself and to see the results, right? And for me, I was like, okay, finasteride is probably not me worth not having sexual side effects. For me, namely, like there's actually like there's definite like semen decrease, and also just like, I don't know, libido issues I
yeah,
felt.
yeah.
So, but didn't mean to
So that's
interrupt you.
obviously important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important to you at your age. But obviously, there will be people that are older that maybe that wouldn't be such a priority at that age, and they might not think it was that important. But yeah, I think it's good that you're honest about that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty awesome. What kind of system are you getting soon here?
So what I know about it is it's will be a full leg system, and I'm probably going to go for the tape all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
I've done my research being looking at hundreds of videos on guys that have already had it done. Everybody, like yourself, you went for a police system, did you, because of your physical workouts at the gym and all that sort of thing? Did you found that a better
So I had in retrospect with Carla, who I've had on the channel before to talk, the reason why she put me in a poly, I was just like, hey, I just, do what you will. I'm going to take your recommendation. You're the professional. And she said that she put me in a poly to make it easier of a transition, because she felt like it's easier to transition from like no hair to hair system. And she gave me like an extra light density for my first unit with a poly. And this next one I'll be getting is going to be poly on the perimeter, but it's going to be lace interior for those reasons of the exercise and the sweat. I'm no longer going to be, I I think we're just going to try using tapes only, like yourself, so that way
Yeah,
I can manage that a little bit easier, and I can, make those maintenance like a little bit easier on myself.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that's where I'm pretty much at, is getting something that suits my lifestyle. I don't have a particularly active lifestyle. I'm certainly not a gym buddy.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think the tape would work for me. What's been really exciting is looking at older men grey hairstyles. So I've
yeah,
been picking out, these guys, famous guys, that got grey hair. They've got kind of a darker grey, a light grey thing going on, and yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I
I
think I'm looking forward to it more now than I was before.
that's awesome. I'm really excited for you, and just kind of like leading the path and showing people that no matter where you are in life, your lifestyle, age, it's never impossible. It's never too late, and you can always change your mind, right? Like, so you've walked out this journey so far of hair loss, right? You tried a hair system, you changed your mind at the moment. You tried, and there's probably other things in between this, but you tried finasteride and minoxidil. Tried that. You tried getting a hair transplant, and now you changed your mind again because you're entitled to do so. Like, uh,
Absolutely, yeah,
the
yeah,
beautiful thing is, I think sometimes, I don't know if this is all men, but I think it can be easy for us to get wrapped in our identity of being like, this is what I do as me, and I'm never going to change, and I'm never going to make a different choice. But it's okay to try something out, and for it to not be
yeah,
for you, right? Whether that's shave your
yeah,
head,
absolutely,
minoxidil, hair system, whatever. And if you want to go back to it, that's cool too, right?
yeah. It's okay to step outside of the normal realms of what's expected of a man at a certain age, whether it's a young man of your age or an older man in his 50s. Like, there's nothing wrong with it,
Yeah,
because it's a personal thing, and all the guys on here have all said it before. It's very much a personal thing. It's how it makes you feel. There's
yeah,
always going to be people that will disagree and say you don't need it. I've said it to you before on comments before. To me, you don't look like you need to have a hair system. But seeing you with the hair system, I can see obviously that is it. You look great as well. So
well, thank
it's
you.
not about what other people think. It really is a firm preservation issue.
Yeah, and it's great that you realize that. I hope everyone does that. It's not even there's comments that will go on, or it's like, oh, you look great with it, or you look great without it, that I see, and I see them on other people's channels too, and it's like, that's still not what it's about. It's this is such a fundamental identity thing. It's a core level thing that there's so much more wrapped up to it than just aesthetics, if you want to talk about it like that. It's what I found, and I've talked about this with multiple people. I'm curious about your input, but there's a level of identity in, like, the persona, right? Almost like characters in a play. We put on masks and garb, and play a certain character. Some of them are more aggressive and more confrontational and more forthcoming. Others are more timid, and their clothes, their body language, everything revolves around that. And hair, I believe, is an extension of those personas.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. You have hit the nail on the head. It's whatever's internal projects to the outside, and yeah. So if you're not feeling the love inside, it's not going to come out,
yeah,
and people are going to see that ultimately. So
I love
yeah,
that.
it's a really important thing.
So, curious question that just kind of came into my mind right now. If you were, talking to someone who was in their early 20s, and they were walking out this journey right now, and what sage advice would you give them if they were like, oh, I might think about it, I don't know, like, the hair systems could be considered weird by people, like they have a lot of doubts and insecurity around it. How would you talk to that person?
I would say the positives are that you are going to look incredible, and it's going to change everything about how you feel about yourself. and when you look at your reflection walking past a shop window, you're going to have a little giggle to yourself, because you're going to think, actually, that's not bad. That, he's not bad looking. That's that side of it. But I would say to anybody, so the other side of it is that, if you let that get out of control, then that's going to squash any positivity side of having the hair system.
Mm.
So obviously there is maintenance. You can't just jump out of bed in the morning and run out the door. You can't do that with a hair system. From memory of having mine, you have to treat it. You have to dress it up and look after it. You have to do that. It's how you feel. It's because it is like having a hat on your head. You can feel it. It's there. People say you don't feel anything at all. I'm not sure. Again, I'm talking about the one that I had 12 years ago. But yeah, so don't think it's all about looking good
Mm.
and feeling good. You've got the other side of it that you have to take into account.
And
so
by the other side, you mean the like the very practical side of it?
yeah, the grooming and the taking it off every so often, once a month, people seem to say is around about the average. So taking it off, cleaning your head, shaving your head. For those people that can do that themselves, I think that's incredible, and good luck to you. I personally wouldn't do that. I would rather pay whatever it is here. It's about £50 a month to go to a proper hair specialist and have them do it for you. I would rather do that. Not everybody can do that. So yeah, people do it themselves. But just don't forget that side of it is there. Just go ahead and do it. That's what I'll say. Do it. Be
Just
brave.
go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it.
Go
I love
ahead
it.
and do it, and step outside of the what society expects of you. Just do it.
Yeah. Okay. And that's great. I think that a lot of us, right, we go about our lives and we play it safe, and we get a job. Well, we grow up, we graduate from, the school system. Maybe we go to university. We get married, we get a dog, we get a house, and we just follow this cookie cutter conscripted life. And it's very easy to make those choices because everyone is doing that same exact thing. It doesn't mean it's the right thing. It means it's the way that, for some reason, whatever your beliefs are, that, it's just how people go about it. To those that are watching, it's okay to make different choices. I think that's a really important message. And, so we're talking about something that there's a little bit of stigma around, and that's hair loss. That's hair systems. If you want to, that's stigmatized too. But you know what? The funny thing is, to those that are watching, I think you can be a stigma breaker, because when people think about hair system, well, they don't know the term hair systems, but they think about wigs. They think about this god awful looking thing that your uncle is wearing at your family Christmas party when he's hitting on your sister, and you get to be a potential stigma breaker for them, because you can walk up to them and even if they say something derogatory about wigs or whatever, right, which is possible, get to be like, hey man, did you actually know I've been wearing one for X period of time? And they will be so shocked. And I've had this reaction multiple times where they're like, I had no idea, and that looks incredible. I had people who thought for a very long time I got a hair transplant when I had my hair system on. They were like, it looked incredible. And I told them after the fact, and they were like, I had no idea whatsoever. It completely changed their mind on wigs, hair systems. And if you're watching this, you have that same opportunity to really change the game. Like, if you're watching this content and you're getting value out of it, you can be that same person for others that are experiencing hair loss. You can give them permission and agency to go about and live this life, having something that they want. So that's all I get to say. Paul, you want to add anything to that before we close this thing out?
You've touched on something there. I just want to say that as well as having the hair system, something else that I'm looking into, which is something I would never have considered in my life, because there is a stigma. but maybe that's something else that you can talk about on your channel as well, is that I've decided to go for some facial fillers, maybe some Botox and that, because I'm fed up of looking at this old crinkled face because it's not what's on the inside. I'm still 26 head,
Yeah.
and that's something else that I think, you know, it's not all about, no disrespect to women, but it's not all about the women and the girls and doing all their beauty regimes and all that. Why the hell can't we do it? And it doesn't have to be a gay thing. It's not a gay thing. That doesn't come into it at all. But why can't men start looking after themselves? Why
Yeah.
can't we be groomed in the same way? I don't see any reason, and that has held me back for so long,
Mm.
and I'm not prepared to let it hold me back anymore. If I can walk down the road now and somebody looks at me and thinks, that's not bad, then I'll consider that a box ticked and think, yeah,
That's great. I
still
love
make
that.
heads turn.
I give you permission to go do and live your best life, whatever that means. If you want to go get Botox, you go get Botox, buddy. No, but I think that's really awesome. I think we need to empower people beyond men. Empower them.
Yeah,
Sorry about this
absolutely.
dog
Yeah.
in the background, by the way, but we need to empower
Is it
men
yours?
uh, to feel that they can make those choices and they can be beautiful and they can take care of their appearance, and it's not just a thing for women. I think that's a great
No, it's
takeaway.
not at
So
all.
thank you so much, Paul, for coming
Absolutely.
on the channel and giving a different perspective, you know, one that's got a couple more years of varied experience through this and through the ages too, because I think that gives some great context to our viewers and also to me. So thank you so much, man, for being an active part of the community, one, watching the
Well,
videos, commenting, but
thank
also
you.
wanting to be involved.
Well, thank you, Jake, and thank you for creating this platform for all of us out here, to be able to talk about things. So, you know, you've started this, so, you know, good on you.
Thanks, man. All right, buddy. Well, we'll talk soon. Take care.